All right, now let's talk about environments. So when we run .NET Run, note that my hosting environment is set to development here. So in ASP.NET Core, we have this concept of environments. We have development environment, staging, and production. In ASP.NET MVC5, we didn't really have this concept built into the framework, and we had to do some tricks with web.config to implement this. Now, in the last lecture, I told you that when we are in the development environment, we have this Webpack dev middleware, and this enables hot module replacement. So anytime we change our client-side files like HTML, CSS, and TypeScript, Webpack detects the changes, does any necessary compilation, and pushes the changes into the browser, so we don't have to reload the page. Let me show you how this works. So in the browser, at localhost port 5000, I'm going to go to this fetch data page. Now I'm going to open up Chrome Developer Tools. This is our console tab. Note that here we have this message, HMR connected. HMR stands for Hot Module Replacement. If your machine is configured as the staging or production environment, you are not going to see this message. Now I'm going to show you how to change the environment for your machine later in this video. So back in VS Code, I'm going to go to fetchdata.component.html. Here I'm going to add a 2 in the title for this page. Save. In the console tab, you can see that Webpack rebuilt our bundle. Below that, you can see the updated modules. So these are the modules that are affected as a result of this simple change. So our fetchdata.component.html, the component that uses that, our app module, and boot-client.ts. So these files are modified, they're compiled, and the changes are automatically pushed to the browser. So back in our application, you can see the updated title, and I didn't refresh the page. So with Webpack Dev Middleware, anytime you modify your client-side code, assuming that you are in the development environment, changes are automatically pushed to the browser, and you don't need to refresh. That's great, I totally love it. Now here's the thing. When you create a project using the approach I showed you in this section, your machine will not be in the development environment. If you create a project with Visual Studio 2017, there is a setting there that marks your machine as a development machine. So how can we change this? If you're on Windows, you can open up your terminal and type set ASP.NET Core _environment to development. This is an environment variable, and ASP.NET looks at the value of this variable to determine your environment. Now, if you're on Mac or Linux, you type export ASP.NET Core _environment, and you set it to development. Then, when you execute .NET Run, your hosting environment should be development. However, this approach affects only the current session, the current terminal. So if I open up a new terminal window and run .NET Run, my environment is not going to be development. It's going to be production. There is a different approach to setting this environment variable at the machine level. On Windows, you need to go to Control Panel, System, Advanced System Settings, and there is a button for adding environment variables. Now, I don't have Windows here, so you need to do it on your own. It's really easy. If you get lost, you can simply Google it. There are tons of videos and tutorials on this topic. On Mac OS and Linux, you go to your home directory. So this is my home directory. Now here, we need to edit our bash profile. So code to open up VS Code, .bash _profile. Note that at the end of this profile, I have added export ASP.NET Core _environment to development. This will apply this environment variable at the machine level, and I don't have to repeat this step every time in the terminal window. So here's a critical step. I want you to stop watching the videos now and go ahead and set this environment variable at your machine level. This is critical because later in the course, when you're working on the client-side code, if you're in the production environment, you keep changing the code and saving and refreshing your browser, but you don't see your updates. So make sure to change the value of this environment variable to development at the machine level, so later you won't have any problems.